there, fantasy owners. Welcome to LTC Fantasy here. Not sure if you're chiming in, watching via YouTube or listening via podcast, but really do appreciate the listen no matter how you're streaming the episode. Today's our Week 10 strategy episode, so we're going to break down the schedule, hopefully find you that advantage and suggest some players to help strengthen your fantasy roster, really give you that edge in your fantasy matchups there. Some things to note this week. We're back to basically a normal week. Our light nights are Monday with 6 games, Wednesday with 3 games, Friday with 3 games, and Sunday with 5, Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. Obviously a lot heavier nights there. It's only a 2-game week for Vancouver, so those are the only team that has 2 games. If you got borderline players, those are the ones you're going to want to drop. There's 12 teams with 4 games this week. There's a slew of them. It's Anaheim, Calgary, Carolina, Dallas, Edmonton, Minnesota, Montreal, Nashville, New Jersey, the Rangers, Ottawa, and Winnipeg. So we will cover all teams that play Monday and Wednesday, those light nights. Friday and Sunday light nights will be covered in our Weekend Ads episode coming out later this week. And we'll also cover all 4-game teams to really help you maximize on games played this week. Hopefully give you that edge and get you out there. So we'll start out, we'll cover Montreal, Anaheim, Dallas, Edmonton, Nashville, and New Jersey. Those 6 teams all play 3 games in the first 4 nights. That'll really help you jump out to that early lead. And if you pick somebody up after Thursday, after they play their 3rd game, you could drop them, pick somebody up that plays 2 games over the weekend, and potentially get 5 games out of 1 slot. That'll be a big advantage for you. Then we'll cover Calgary, Minnesota, and Ottawa. Calgary gets all 4 light nights this week, so you'll really get good use out of any pickup from Calgary. Minnesota and Ottawa play 3 of the 4 light nights, so that'll give you an extra edge. And then we'll finish off by covering the remaining Monday teams, then the remaining Wednesday teams, and finish it off with any 4-game teams that don't play Monday or Wednesday. So basically, we'll get right into it. Some D-men that play 3 games in the first 4 nights. Remember, out of these, Montreal plays Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday. The rest of these players play Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday. So we'll start off in Montreal. Look at Caden Gould, owned in 4% of Yahoo leagues, playing on that top pairing in Montreal, and he has 2 points the last 4 games with 11 hits and 4 blocks. He has pretty nice secondary stats for a young D-man there. His offense is a little off and on, but in deeper leagues, he could provide some value for you. Another one in Montreal is Mike Matheson. He's owned in 11% of Yahoo leagues, playing that second pairing, top power play unit there, and he has 3 points in the midst of a 3-game point streak right now, with 8 shots on goal and 7 hits. He is getting opportunity there, and he's playing on the top power play there. His other cats are okay. His offense can be a little bit streaky, but in a deeper league, etc., and getting 3 games in the first 4 nights, he could provide some pretty decent value for you. Going over to Anaheim, look at Cam Fowler, owned in 20% of Yahoo leagues, playing top pairing, top power play unit there, and he has 13 points the last 12 games, so over a point per game for a D-man there. 23 shots on goal. He's been pretty good for a while now. If you're looking over 12 games, that's basically about 3.5 weeks there. He's been really good, so you should get some pretty decent value if you can fit him on your roster. Another one from Anaheim's Kevin Shattenkirk. He's owned in 4% of Yahoo leagues. He's playing 3rd pairing, second power play unit. He has 3 points the last 5 games, so over half point per game, so pretty good there. And he has 16 shots on goal, 12 hits, and 9 blocks. As you can see, he's pretty well balanced now. He's not a one-trick pony like in his younger days where it was all offense. So he's obviously pretty good in most cats, so in a cats-based league, could provide some pretty decent value, especially with that condensed schedule to start the week. Going over to Dallas, look at Colin Miller. He's owned in 1% of Yahoo leagues. Slated on the top pairing. I've seen him slated on the 3rd pairing, so do check where he's kind of slotted there. But he has 2 points the last 4 games with 5 shots on goal. He is as I mentioned, up and down in the pairing, so he is a bit risky. His points are streaky, so he's really only a real deep league option. Another one to mention, I didn't have Neil Lundqvist here because he's been healthy scratch for a few games, but he got back in the lineup and had a couple of points the other night, so that's another one potentially for deeper leagues. Last one's over in Edmonton. Look at Tyson Barrie, owned in 65% of Yahoo leagues, playing second pairing, back up on that top power play unit there, and he has 4 points the last 3 games. I believe he also got an assist tonight. That game's still going on so far. 8 shots on goal and 4 blocks. His offense can be streaky this year, but he is on that top power play unit in Edmonton, which is pretty damn deadly there. So with that and a condensed schedule, you should be able to squeeze some value out of them. Now we'll move along to some forwards that have 3 games in the first 4 nights. Remember, Montreal plays Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday, so they get 2 of the light nights earlier in the week. The rest of these teams play Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday there. Start off in Montreal again. Look at Kirby Dach, listed as center right winger, owned in 27% of Yahoo leagues. Playing on that top line, top power play unit there. He has 2 points the last 3 games with 6 shots on goal. His offense has cooled off some, but he was really hot there not too long ago with Caulfield and Suzuki, and he's still up on that top line. So with having that condensed schedule, he should be able to bang out a point or 2 for you, get you some value. Another one in Montreal is Jaromir Slafkovsky. Hope I pronounced that first name right there. But anyways, left winger or right winger, owned in 15% of Yahoo leagues. Playing on that third line, second power play unit there. And he has 3 points the last 4 games with 5 hits and 3 blocks. So decent secondary cats for a young guy there. He's a bit more consistent of late. He's rookie, he's young, he's only 19 there. So just breaking into the league. With that, might go unnoticed, but he's starting to turn it on a little bit. So in a deeper league, he potentially could be a decent fit for you. Going over to Anaheim, look at Adam Henrique, listed as center left winger, owned in 8% of Yahoo leagues. Playing top line, top power play unit. He's been fairly decent. 8 points over the last 12 games there. 29 shots on goal and 13 blocks. He has a nice block and shots on goal totals, as you can tell from those stats. Numbers offensively are pretty decent for a streamer there. And with having 3 games in 4 nights, you should definitely be able to get some value out of him. Another one in Anaheim's Frank Vatrano, listed as left winger, right winger, owned in 5% of Yahoo leagues. Playing on that second line, second power play unit. And he has 3 points in the midst of a 3-game point streak there. 10 shots on goal, 5 hits. He has been really streaky his first year in Anaheim here, so there is some risk / reward there. In a deeper league, there might be more of a lack of options where Vatrano might be able to provide some value with that condensed schedule. Another one in Anaheim's Mason McTavish, listed as center left winger, owned in 13% of Yahoo leagues. Playing on that third line, up on the top power play unit there. And he has 3 points his last 3 games there, with 6 shots on goal, 4 hits, and 3 blocks. He's okay in most categories of late, so you should be able to get some value out of him. He definitely has offensive talent there. The kid has some pretty slick hands. And with the heavy schedule to start, you might be able to scrap out some value out of him. Going over to Nashville, look at Mikael Granlund, listed as center right winger, owned in 14% of Yahoo leagues. Playing top line, top power play unit, he's been pretty good. 5 points the last 6 games with 7 blocks. That's a lot of blocks for a forward in that amount of time there. And he's been good of late, and you should be able to get some value out of him. Another one's Colton Sissons in Nashville, listed as a center, owned in 1% of Yahoo leagues, playing second line, second power play unit there, and he has 4 points the last 8 games with 14 hits. He really has a very nice hit total. He wins an S-ton of face-offs. If face-off wins are counted in your league, and he's chipping in a little bit of offense of late, so you might be able to scrap out some value from him. Next one is Eric Holla over in New Jersey, listed as center left winger, owned in 14% of Yahoo leagues, playing on that second line, and he has 5 points the last 6 games there, plus 7, 10 hits, and 6 blocks. As you can tell by those stats, he's a pretty well-rounded player, so in a Cats league, you'll definitely get you some value out of him, especially with that condensed schedule there. Another one in New Jersey is Dawson Mercer, listed as center right winger, owned in 17% of Yahoo leagues, playing second line, second power play unit, and he has 7 points in the last 8 games. Believe he also got a point tonight there, being Friday. 16 shots on goal and 6 blocks. He's been really good with Hughes, and with that line going, especially when you got Hughes as your centerman, should be able to get some value with a condensed schedule there. Before we get into the next segment, I'd like to ask you to subscribe, as we're really trying to grow this channel. Hope you're finding value out of these episodes. And there's my little plug. Hopefully you do subscribe there, and we'll keep rolling on here. Some D-men that play on 3 or more light nights. Remember, Calgary plays all 4 light nights there. Minnesota plays Monday, Friday, and Sunday. And Ottawa plays Monday, Wednesday, and Sunday. Start off in Calgary there. Look at Noah Hanifin, owned in 58% of Yahoo leagues, playing top pairing, second power play unit there. And he has 6 points the last 12 games with 24 shots on goal, 19 hits, and 25 blocks. As you can tell, he's pretty well rounded. His offense is down a bit. I believe he did get an assist tonight. But he should be a fairly safe streamer, especially in cat leagues there. Going over to Minnesota, look at Kalen Addison, owned in 13% of Yahoo leagues, plays on the third pairing top power play unit, and he has 6 points the last 7 games there. This kid really does have offensive talent there. He's pretty light in other categories, but a pure offensive play and playing on those light nights, you should be able to get some value out of him. Another one in Minnesota is Jared Spurgeon. He's owned in 53% of Yahoo leagues, playing top pairing, second power play unit there, and he has 4 points the last 5 games with 13 shots on goal and 7 blocks. So he does have okay shot on goal and block totals. Used to be more offensive, but now he's not up on that top power play. Addison took that away. He's getting secondary power play time. But for light nights, he should be a pretty decent streamer for you. Last one in Minnesota is Matt Dumba, owned in 21% of Yahoo leagues, plays the second pairing there. He has 4 points the last 7 games with 12 hits and 7 blocks. He's really does nothing great, but he does nothing bad. He should just be more of a safe streamer where he's going to chip in a little bit everywhere. So especially in cat leagues, deeper cat leagues, you should be able to get some value out of him. Now we'll move along to some forwards that play 3 or more light nights. Do remember again, Calgary gets all 4 light nights, and Minnesota plays Monday, Friday, and Sunday, while Ottawa plays Monday, Wednesday, and Sunday. So we'll start off in Calgary again. Look at Tyler Toffoli, listed as left winger, right winger, owned in 65% of Yahoo leagues, plays top line, top power play unit, and he has 7 points in the last 6 games with 19 shots on goal and 6 hits. He's obviously been a lot better of late. He had a pretty slow start there. And with playing all 4 light nights, you should be able to get some decent value out of him. Another one in Calgary is Dylan Dubé, listed as left winger, right winger, owned in 3% of Yahoo leagues, playing second line, second power play unit there. And he has 5 points in the last 5 games with 9 shots on goal and 11 hits. He can be streaky. He is really offensively off or on. But again, with having all 4 light nights in a deep league, he should be a fairly solid streamer. Another one's Andrew Mangiapane, listed as left winger, right winger, owned in 38% of Yahoo leagues, playing on the second line, second power play unit. He does have 4 points in the last 5 games played. Should mention those 4 points were in 2 multi-point games. So he shows flashes of last year where he gets you a couple of points, but there's a lot of more goose eggs than you're used to, so that he is riskier Definitely a lot riskier than he was last year, but with having all 4 light nights, he might be worth taking a chance on. Another one in Calgary is Adam Ruzicka. Listed as center left winger, owned in 6% of Yahoo leagues, playing on the third line, second power play unit there. He's put up 6 points the last 4 games with 5 hits and 6 blocks. He's been pretty good of late and should be a really good ad, especially in deeper leagues. Next one over in Minnesota is Joel Eriksson Ek. Owned in 61% of Yahoo leagues, playing on the third line top power play unit, and he has 12 points the last 9 games. Should say he's also scored tonight against my Oil. That game's still going on. Son of a gun. Anyways, 29 shots on goal in those 9 games. So he wins a ton of face-offs as well. So if face-off wins are counted in your league, definitely look at streaming him. He's offensively hot right now. So if he's available in your league, he'd be a really nice option for you in week 10 there. Another one in Minnesota is Connor Dewar. Listed as center left winger, owned in 1% of Yahoo leagues, plays on the fourth line. He has 4 points the last 3 games, which is really nice for a forward liner. 5 shots on goal and 5 hits. He's on a little bit of a run of late. Only reason I mention him is for you guys that are in real deep leagues where there's a real lack of options. Otherwise, I'd probably leave him alone just because he does play fourth line minutes. But for a fourth liner, he's on a heck of a run, putting up some decent numbers. So in your very deep leagues, might be worthwhile for you. So now we'll move along to some the remaining teams from Monday that we haven't covered yet. Do remember, for the Rangers, it's a 4-game week. For Pittsburgh and St. Louis, it's a 3-game week. So we'll start off with the Rangers. Look at Keandre Miller, owned in 20% of Yahoo leagues, playing on the second pairing there, and he has 4 points the last 6 games with 20 hits and 11 blocks. He really is well-rounded, and he should bring you value, especially on a light night in a Cats league there. Going over to Pittsburgh, look at Pierre-Olivier Joseph, 0% owned, so available everywhere there. Playing on the third pairing, second power play unit. He has 2 points the last 4 games, is a +5 in there, 6 shots on goal and 10 hits. His value is mostly in hits, but he is getting a little more opportunity, getting some power play time with Letang out. Letang is back skating, so not sure how long he's out, so do check that. But in a real deep league, he might be a sneaky streamer for you this week. We'll move along to St. Louis there. Look at Colton Parayko. Owned in 12% of Yahoo leagues, playing top pairing, second power play unit there. And he has 4 points the last 5 games with 9 shots on goal, 6 hits, 6 blocks, and is a +4 there. So he really is decent in most Cats. He's not known for his offense, but he's been chipping it in of late. So especially in a Cats league, maybe a deeper scoring league, you might be able to get a little bit of value out of him. Next one's Nick Leddy in St. Louis. 0% owned, just like Joseph. So should be available in your leagues there. Plays on the top pairing there. He has 4 points the last 5 games with 5 blocks. Offensively, he is really streaky this year. That's why the 0% ownership. So only in a real deep league do you take a chance on him. But for your deeper league fantasy owners, could be a decent option for you. So now we'll move on to some remaining Monday forwards. Remember, the Rangers play 4 games this week, and Pittsburgh and St. Louis, it's a 3-game week there. So we'll start off with the Rangers again. Look at Alex Lafreniere, listed as left winger, right winger, owned in 22% of Yahoo leagues. Playing up on that top line, second power play unit there. And he's put up 3 points the last 2 games. Pretty small sample size, but still a little bit of a streak for him. 5 shots on goal. His offense is really streaky, but he gets you a decent amount of shots on goal and hits. So if those are counted in your league, he will bring some value, especially on a lighter night there. And as long as he can stay up on that top line, might be able to get some piggyback points there. Going over to Pittsburgh, look at Rickard Rakell. Listed as a left winger or right winger, owned in 61% of Yahoo leagues. Playing on that top line, top power play unit, and he has 5 points his last 8 games. Believe he got at least 1 goal tonight. Not sure if there's any second points there. 26 shots on goal, 13 hits, and 4 blocks. With him, he's kind of well-rounded. He seems to get points every second game. He kind of throws a goose egg, gets a point, throws a goose egg, gets a point. For most of the season anyways, that's kind of been his trend. So you will get some value out of him. In the secondary cats, the offense just might be, depends if it's his off night or on night, so to speak. Another one in Pittsburgh's Brian Rust. Listed as a right winger, owned in 60% of Yahoo leagues, playing second pairing, second power play unit there. And he's put up 6 points in just the last 2 games there with 6 shots on goal. It basically just when owners were starting to give up on him, and he's seen his ownership just tumble through the year there. These last couple of games, he's been good. Not sure if he's going to turn it around for the whole season here, but his history says you should be able to get some value out of him. Going over to St. Louis, look at Braden Shen. Listed as center left winger, owned in 60% of Yahoo leagues. Up on that top line, top power play unit, and he has points in 3 straight with 5 shots on goal and 4 hits. And basically, Shen is Shen. He's usually a fairly safe streamer. Doesn't really go on big runs, doesn't really go on low lows, so he should be fairly safe for you. Another one in St. Louis is Robert Thomas, listed as a center, owned in 55% of Yahoo leagues. Plays on that top power play unit, and he's put up 13 points the last 11 games there. He's a pure offensive play, as his other cats are pretty low, but he is a pretty dynamic offensive player. So if you're in a scoring league, definitely take a look at streaming him next week. Last one in St. Louis is Ryan O'Reilly, listed as a center, owned in 38% of Yahoo leagues. Up on the top line, second power play unit. He's been good. 6 points the last 7 games, 18 shots on goal, 64 face-off wins in those 7 games there. So wins a ton, 6 hits, and as you can see, he's a well-rounded player. He's a definite streamer for you in a Cats league. Depending on how your league is formatted, could provide you some value as well there. So now we'll move on to some Demon that play on Wednesday that we haven't covered yet. Remember, out of these teams, Vancouver only has 2 games this week, one of them being an off night. So if you're just planning on streaming for a day, Vancouver might bring you some value. And Detroit only has 3 games this week. So we'll start off in Vancouver. Look at Oliver Ekman-Larsson, playing on the top pairing, second power play unit. And he has 6 points the last 8 games there, with 14 shots on goal, 10 hits, and 5 blocks. He is kind of sporadic this year. He's kind of gets you little pockets where you love him. Got you some pockets where you absolutely like, why the hell did I pick up this guy? But on a light night, he might be able to bring you some value there. Over in Detroit, look at Olli Maatta, owned in 2% of Yahoo leagues, playing on that second pairing there, and he has 3 points the last 2 games with 6 hits. He is listed day to day with an illness right now. Since it is just an illness, I'm anticipating he'll be ready for the start of week 10 there. He is very inconsistent. He started out like a bat out of hell to start the season. Then he cooled off considerably. Now he seems to be picking it back up again. So for me, it's only in a real deep league do you take a chance on him, but is an option for you on a light night. So now we'll move along to some forwards that play Wednesday that we haven't covered yet. Remember, Vancouver, 2 games only this week. Detroit has a 3-game week. We'll start off in Vancouver. Look at Brock Besser. Listed as a right winger, owned in 54% of Yahoo leagues. Playing second line, second power play unit there. And he's put up 9 points his last 12 games, 22 shots on goal. Of those 9 points, 4 of them have been on the power play there. He can be a bit streaky, but on a light night, he should be an okay streamer. He's back on Pettersson's line. Maybe run into some old magic there and see what happens. Next one in Vancouver is Andrei Kuzmenko, listed as left winger, right winger, owned in 43% of Yahoo leagues. Playing on that third line, top power play unit there. He has 14 points in the last 10 games. Should mention, over those 10 games, 6 of them were multi-point games there. So he kind of is a feast or famine kind of play for you. He's either going to really do well for you, might toss you a goose egg, but being a light night, could be a fairly rewarding option for you, or it might be a kick in the pants there. Over in Detroit, look at David Perron. Listed as a right winger, owned in 64% of Yahoo leagues, playing top line, top power play unit. He's put up 12 points the last 12 games there. 4 of those points being on the power play. 34 shots on goal, so gets you an S-load of shots. 16 hits. He's pretty good all around, so he should be a fairly safe streamer, especially on a light night there. Another one in Detroit is Oscar Sundqvist, listed as center right winger, owned in 1% of Yahoo leagues, playing third line, but up on the top power play unit right now, and he has 4 points the last 5 games there, is a +3 in those 5 games with 9 shots on goal. He can be really on and off, but he's more for your deeper leagues. If you're in a real deep league where there's lack of options, could provide some value for you on a light night there. Next one and last one in Detroit is Andrew Kopp, listed as center right winger, owned in 17% of Yahoo leagues, centering that third line on the second power play unit there, and he's put up 10 points the last 10 games there, with 18 shots on goal. Really took him a while, but he seems to be getting a lot better of late in Detroit, even playing on the third line, and 10 points over 10 games, pretty damn good there, so you should be able to get some value out of him on a lighter night. So now we'll move on to some 4-game D-men that don't play Monday or Wednesday but still get in 4 games this week. Start off in Carolina. Look at Brett Pesce, owned in 3% of Yahoo leagues, playing second pairing, second power play unit there. He's put up 5 points the last 6 games with 10 shots on goal and 11 blocks there. So he really does have a decent block and shot and goal numbers. His offense can be a bit hit or miss, but outside of Burns, the defensemen have been pretty streaky. Pesce is probably the next best option on Carolina's back end there, so you should get some value there on a light night. Over in Winnipeg, look at Nate Schmidt, owned in 1% of Yahoo leagues, playing third pairing, second power play unit, and he's put up 3 points the last 3 games there. 7 shots on goal, 5 blocks. With that, he just moved up onto the second power play. Pionk lost his job there because he's been pretty cold for a while now. And you got to remember, Schmidt was over 30-point D-man last year. It's been kind of disappointing this year, but there is potential there. So in a real deep league with a 4-game week, you might be able to get some value out of him there. So now we'll move along to some 4-game forwards this week that don't play Monday or Wednesday. And again, we'll start off in Carolina. Look at Seth Jarvis, listed as left winger, right winger, owned in 29% of Yahoo leagues, playing on the top line, second power play unit. And he's currently has 6 points in the midst of a 6-game point streak there. 15 shots on goal, 4 blocks in those 6 games, so decent block numbers, nice shot on goal numbers. It's been pretty good of late, and being on that top line, Carolina's pretty deep. You should be able to get some value out of them. Another one in Carolina, Stefan Noesen, listed as left winger, right winger, only owned in 1% of Yahoo leagues. Yes, he's on the 4th line, but he's also up on that top power play unit there. And he's put up 4 points the last 6 games. Of those 4 points, 3 of them being on the power play there. 11 shots on goal, 8 hits, and 3 blocks. He really is power play point dependent there. But in a real deep league, you should be able to get some value for him. If you're in a standard draft kind of league, you're probably not going to touch him. But for your real deep leagues, he could provide some value for you. Over in Winnipeg, look at Blake Wheeler, listed as a right winger, owned in 59% of Yahoo leagues. Plays that top line, top power play unit. What can I say? He's been hot. 14 points over the last 9 games there. 23 shots on goal and 8 blocks. As I mentioned, he's been really hot. If he is available in your league, definitely try to stream him. Might even turn into a permanent piece for you. He's been that good of late here. Another one in Winnipeg's Cole Perfetti, listed as center, left wing, and right wing, and owned in 25% of Yahoo leagues. Them having a 4-game week and him being able to slot him anywhere in the forward ranks does add some value there, because you can squeeze him in no matter where you have room. Plays top line, second power play unit there. And he's put up 8 points the last 7 games. I believe he got a point tonight as well. 19 shots on goal. He's been going pretty well on that top line there, and you should be able to get some value. As I mentioned, he plays on a lot of the heavier nights next week, and you can put him anywhere, center, left wing, and right wing. I really do think should be able to get some value out of that. Last one is Adam Lowry, listed as a center, owned in 9% of Yahoo leagues. Plays third line, second power play unit. And he's put up 7 points in the last 7 games there, so pretty nice little run for them. He is pretty streaky, but should be a fairly decent streamer for you in your deeper leagues. He will get you some face-off wins, a couple of blocks, that kind of value there. That's it for today's episode. Hope you did enjoy it. If you're watching via YouTube, remember to hit like, hit subscribe, remember that notification bell. If you're listening via podcast, hit that follow, hit that heart, hit subscribe, depending what platform you're listening to it on, and we'll be out in a bit with another episode there, and good luck, fantasy owners.